Hello, welcome to ABC. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Folks, most of the time the African story is not told, and when it's told, it is maligned. And the African, so long as he is not on the home continent of Africa, wherever they are, suffer one way or another at the hands of other races. We have gained our independence politically, but most of us as Africans know that we are yet to step foot into the economic arena and play ball. Hence ABC, African Business Center. An African story, when it's told, is usually one of pain, one of malnourishment. Today, such is not the story. In the United States of America, the current administration, led by President Joe Biden, has put in some effort to replace the face of President Andrew Jackson on the $20 US bill with the face of Harriet Tubman. And that's what we will talk about today. I've gone through so much stress to be able to produce this video today. It's been a while since I uploaded something. If you appreciate the effort and the message, kindly hit the subscribe button and share with somebody. The production might not be the best, but we are doing whatever is within our strength to give you the best of quality in terms of production, in terms of content. All right, so to our story for today. Why is this change significant to us? Like I have already mentioned, when you go to the United States, for instance, an average black family has a wealth of $10,000, comparable to $170,000 for their counterpart, which might be a white individual. That aside, black businesses are twice as likely to fail comparable to white businesses. Why? It is because 80% of all loan applications by black business persons would be turned down. In the housing market, it is the same issue. It is much more difficult for a black person to access a mortgage, and on and on and on. And these issues borders on systemic racism, things we've been talking about over and over. And today, if there is an opportunity for the face of a black person to be placed on one of the legal tenders for the United States, which sends a rippling effect across the entire world, it is something worth talking about. So this is the creme de la creme of the video for today. If there is something you wanted to know, this is all there is to know. This image you are seeing here is the previous note, right? The $20 note, and this one right here is the new one, which is to come into circulation sometime soon. In 2015, that was when the Obama era decided or planned to do this, but at the time the Obama administration didn't have Senate support to be able to push this through. This time around, President Joe Biden will be able to do that, all things being equal. He has the Senate, he has the House of Representatives. I don't want to make this a political video, but such is the issue. Andrew Jackson is being kicked off the face of the $20 bill because I think he was targeted because among other presidents, early presidents of the United States, although they all owned slaves, Andrew Jackson is known to be the one president who sold slaves or made a living off of slaves. His own website, as at now, the Heritage, states that his wealth came from slavery. So that is Andrew Jackson for you. He has a very bad history with Indian Americans. When he came into office, he signed a law, the Indian Removal Act, which was to dispossess all American Indians who are original owners of the land of America of their lands. So they were all kicked off their lands, about 70,000 of them, majority of whom lost their lives, were diseased, and on because of that. They were put in an internment camp of some sort, an area demarcated for them, and they didn't have any government protection because that area was considered not to be a part of the United States. And that area or piece of land is what we call today the land of Oklahoma, or the state of Oklahoma. So that is Andrew Jackson for you. For the next few minutes, I will talk about Harriet Tubman and who she is, their contribution to the abolishment of slavery in the 1820s and on and on. And if you are uninterested in hearing about her, perhaps this is a point where you jump onto your next video on YouTube. But I hope you stay and enjoy the video. If you are still here, if you want to leave, you subscribe or like or share before you move on. We really appreciate that a lot. So who is Harriet Tubman? Harriet Tubman was born to slave parents. Her parents were named Ben Ross and Harriet Green Ross. She was born originally with the name Araminta Ross somewhere around 1832. Historians are not 100% certain on when she was born. That is understandable. As a slave, no comprehensive records were kept of the birth and death of slaves. But that aside, she has as many as 8 other siblings in addition to herself, 4 boys, 4 girls. She married twice in her life, and with her second husband, they had 1 kid adopted. Her name was Gertie. Tubman was petite, really very short, about 5 feet tall, not a very tall person. As a kid, one of the incidents that marked her for the rest of her life was when a metal was thrown at her by a slave owner. It wasn't intended for her, it was intended for someone else, but she was the recipient of a 2-pound projectile which slammed into her skull, and she developed epilepsy from that point forwards. Now, from that point forward, she started having visions, what she called premonitions from God, that was warning her, or if you want, telling her what to do with her life, and on and on and on. Once again, as a kid, one of the things she saw that changed her perspective on slavery was when a Georgian trader came in to purchase one of her brothers, and her mother's, who was popularly known as Rich, stood and said, "No, this is not going to happen, and whoever is first to step into my house is going to have their skull split into 2. And that was the original Harriet for you. As much as deliverance has come through the Bible and Christianity, some people have used it to oppress others. For instance, a typical case in point is when people say that the cursed son of Noah is the forefather of Africans and Africans are cursed, which is absolutely not true. I wanted to say the B word, but well, that is not true. That is a story for another day, right? So Harriet didn't really believe in the Old Testament text that said that slaves ought to be subservient or submissive to their masters. She never believed in that. What she believed in was the Old Testament and how slaves were usually able to free themselves from their masters, and that was a guiding light in her life. She was a staunch Methodist at that. Her first attempt to run away was a failed one when she ran away with her brothers, 2 of her brothers. Along the line, her brothers got scared and pulled her back, and all 3 of them had to return to the plantation. The next time she would run though was 5 years after her marriage in 1849. 5 years prior, she had gotten married to one John Tubman, and that is where her name Tubman, of course, comes from. Harriet is the name she began to use after she got married, hence Harriet Tubman. 2 years after she was able to make her successful escape from Maryland, where she was born and stayed, and got married to John Tubman, who was a free man, by the way. She returned to Dorchester to get her husband. She had been able to save some money. She bought a suit for her husband so that he could get him back and they could enjoy the remainder of their lives, only to find out that the gentleman had remarried one lady called Caroline. She was furious and decided to create a scene, but then that would give her away to her slave owners, and she decided against it. It was one of her trips to Maryland where she did not want to waste the trip on a husband, so she found people who wanted to run away from their masters, and she actually took them away using the Underground Railroad system as it has come to be known now. The Underground Railroad system was actually a system of roads, paths, and caves and safe houses which were used in secret by people or slaves who were freeing their masters, and on and on. And it was very secretive, very difficult for people to know about it. And even after she had escaped successfully, in her subsequent interviews by newspapers, they asked her about the railway system, and she said she couldn't talk or speak much concerning it because there are people in slavery who are still using that path, and she wouldn't want to disclose where those tunnels and caves and pathways and on were. So that was it with John, and that was how she became divorced. As a child, she was often told that she looked like an Ashanti, and I myself, being a Ghanaian where the Asante Kingdom is here in Ghana, immediately I heard or read about Harriet Tubman. The imagery that came into my mind was one Ashanti queen called Yasantua, who delivered or stood against the British in the 1900s and fought a very fierce war with them, and on. So I wasn't surprised when I read along the line that she might have also been an Ashanti. Ashantis are notoriously really very short, about 5 feet, and she is also 5 feet thereabouts, and that's it. As a side note, though, Ashantis don't really like the English language. They are so proud of the Asante Cree that they would, in any given day, choose to speak their dialect over English, and Harriet was very good at pidgin. I guess that the Asante blood was so powerful in her veins that even abroad she still, if you want, had a distaste for the English language. Okay, so some of her achievements quickly. Harriet was able to embark on as many as 13 expeditions to free about 70 slaves from their masters. In 1861, when the Civil War broke out, she became a nurse at Port Royal. She was able to use plant medicine. Africans listen, Black Americans listen. She was able to use plant medicine to cure dysentery and some other ailments of soldiers, and on. These stuff work. In 1863, she became the very first woman in that particular war to lead an armed assault, and she was able to free, in addition to other soldiers, of course, about 750 slaves in one of her raids. Now, finally, she was also a spy and a scout for the Union Army, not the Confederacy Army, the Union Army. After the war ended, while she had bought a land in New York, some place called Auburn, and stayed there, what she was doing was, with the little resources that she had, Harriet was often always very poor, and she lived at, if you want, she became a benefactor or a beneficiary of support from family and friends, and on. She took in one man who was going to be her very next husband, and his name was Nelson Charles David. Charles Nelson was a farmer. He served in the Union Army, and after the war, as an ex-service person, couldn't find land to farm on in Auburn, New York, where he had moved to. He became a bricklayer, met with Harriet when Harriet took him in, of course, and then they got married in one Presbyterian church in 1869. Nelson unfortunately will die in 1888, making Harriet first a divorcee and second a widower. One of her finest acts was when she donated a parcel of land to the AME Zion Church, and upon that land was raised an infrastructure which became a home for the elderly, and it was in this home that she herself will be admitted and will die when she was full of age in the year 1913. So this has been a short biography on Harriet Tubman, her life, and how now at this moment she is helping to wipe away some of the pain that is associated with slavery and blacks in America, and by extension the scar that it has left on the African continent and on black peoples everywhere in the world. Right this moment, the plans are underway to put her face, or to embellish the face of the $20 bill with the beautiful face of Harriet Tubman. Some of this video and the information shared in it is based on an article I read in the Times by Brittany Cooper, and Brittany Cooper has made a point to say that it is even disrespectful to her for the face of Harriet Tubman, such an honorable woman, to be placed on the national currency of the United States, seeing that the currency is used to exchange, or the currency is used to make exchanges for commodity, which reminds Africans and blacks of a lot of pain. Her point is that putting her face on a currency is not as important as putting money in the pockets of black people. Not free money, that's not what we are saying, but we are saying that opportunities which are offered to other people should also be offered to blacks, and there should be an even playing ground for all of us so that we can all benefit from it. This has been ABC Africa Business Center. We're happy to have you. Before you leave, make sure to hit the subscribe button, make sure to like the video, make sure to leave a comment. I've realized that majority of people will watch the video all right, but wouldn't say anything. Leave a comment in the comment section for us, and then let us know what your experiences have been as a black person around the world, what we can do so that the black economy can grow, that we can have a quality standard of life. See you in the next one. This has been ABC.